Thanks for joining us. I'm the host, Quill Jackson, and you're tuning in to Athletes Unplugged. Today's guest is probably the hardest working individual I've ever been around. He was the 20th overall pick in the 2006 NFL draft to the Kansas City Chiefs. He went on to play 12 NFL seasons, and along that 12 years, he was able to make 5 straight Pro Bowls and also amass a total of 89 and a half sacks, coming second only to the late, great Hall of Famer, Derek Thomas. So with no further ado, please welcome in my good buddy, Tamba Hali. Tamba, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Quell. That was great, man. Thanks. All of the things you're talking about, that ain't me. That's the football player. I hope you tell these people.
I was waiting to hold the good stuff at the end so we can keep them listening and paying attention. But before we get into all the good stuff, because obviously a lot of people associate both of us, more so you, because you were so great at it, at playing football, but you have a whole nother side of you that I want to dive into. And that was the purpose of creating this platform of Athletes Unplugged, to dive into those things. But before we do that, I want to start at the root of it. I want to start and give the listeners and the viewers just context of who you are as a person. And I want to start in Liberia. I want to start in Liberia, where, if you don't know, Tamba comes from a place that was war-torn for many years, and he was able to escape to a better life. And we're going to dive into that further. But my question to you is, what was life like for Tamba Hali before you made the transition to the U.S.?
Well, it wasn't the regular way of growing up. You know, at the age of I'm 37 now, so I came to the country when I was 10.
Right.
So in 1989, a war started in the country, a civil war, and over 250,000 people lost their lives.
Wow.
I was one of those. My family, we were one of those that were fortunate and blessed to flee the country. Let's say 2-3 years later, we ended up in the Côte d'Ivoire. lost a lot of friends, family members. We were fortunate. A lot of our family members are still alive. But we were refugees in the Côte d'Ivoire. And while we stayed there, we picked up French a little bit. But, you know, it's not the typical life. I'm about 6-7 years old, and we fled the war. The war was, like, very devastating. And I can still remember, the first time we was even in the battle, I remember one of the most vivid pictures of when the war started was when a plane just came into the town, and from a distance you can't tell what it was, because we don't see planes around. We're talking third world like that, right. And we thought it was a bird because the plane engine was on, and when it got closer, they turned it off. I mean, they turned it on and then started shooting us. And we're just regular citizens. God. So to just, as a kid growing up, realizing like, what's going on? How come they're shooting at us? It's kind of like how my child is saying, Dad, what's going on? How come they're killing black people in this country?
Right.
So my first.
Go ahead, that was I had known somewhat, but I've never come out and asked you. We've known each other. You were one of the first people I met in that journey to the NFL, right? And we were roommates at the Senior Bowl that you were the MVP of, and so we go way back. So I remember, I wasn't a big fan of flying, and this is when I really was both of us. We took a trip to Alabama and the Senior Bowl and all that, and there was I was nervous about flying. You were nervous about flying, but I realized, like, because of that story, I didn't know that story until we had a conversation later, and it hit me. I was like, wow, at that moment, I already had the utmost respect for you, but it just took it to another level, because I had never met anyone that had overcome so much at such a young age. So I commend you for that, and I'm sure you've done so many great things, and I can't wait. There's so much to talk about. So when you get to, I read someplace
I get to New Jersey, actually we're in Côte d'Ivoire. My dad filed for us to come to the States. We got denied in the Côte d'Ivoire. We go to Ghana. Ghana actually is the one that led us in the country, and we flew from the Cote d'Ivoire. We got to New Jersey. That's where I kind of started my journey in the country. Teaneck, New Jersey. My dad's a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Yeah, but he wasn't just he was a chemistry teacher and
teacher.
Yeah. Chemistry
Physics,
and physics.
chemistry, math, computers. Yeah.
That dude was really smart, man.
He's a smart guy.
Wow.
When that,
yeah, that's a smart guy. That's a smart dude, man. So I want to skip through. Obviously, we know your career at Penn State, your senior year, you were up for so many different awards: Nagurski, the Ted Hendricks Award, the best DN in the country, all those good things. And you get to Kansas City, and I want to highlight your rookie year. There was a date that sticks out in my mind, and we've never talked about it, but it was a moment for me as well because I followed you, throughout your entire career. July 31st, 2006 was a moment that you left training camp and you were flown back to Teaneck and you were sworn in as a permanent citizen of the U.S. Man, walk me through what was that moment like for you?
It's kind of
were you numb? You had so much going on, and it was you had just been drafted 20th overall. You're being sworn in, and your mother has a chance to a few months later to live with you and see you play for the first time. What was going through? I'm curious. Like, you have to be mentally tough and mentally conditioned to go through all these different things because you're living a new normal now.
Yeah. I mean, it's surreal because, like I think I said, you go from fleeing gunshots to now, walking and graduating, becoming a citizen. It's one of those things that that you have a higher authority that's kind of guiding this entire process. Because even to me, at times I sit and I'm a huge believer, and I say to myself, I'm like, what are the odds that I even get to this country? But then happen to play a sport where I never played before and try my best to excel in. So it's strange to me that, but then again, I won't lie to you, DeQuell, it's my faith. It's, I'm again.
And I know you've lived it and you've walked it, but I don't know if enough guys tell you just how impressive that is. A lot of guys, we know the guys that we've been in locker rooms with, they say they come from hard times. That's not hard times when you grow up in a war-torn environment. So I can't say that enough. I'll probably repeat myself 1,000 times, just reiterating it, just how impressive your story is. But I want to dive into, when does, in all of this, you leave Liberia, you have all these new normals, your mother's, you've reunited with your mother, your father, things are going well for you. When does music come into this? I grew up in the church.
I grew up in the church. So throughout my life, as we were fleeing the country, music was like a foundation for me. I grew up playing the drums. I grew up singing in the choirs. When we got to the States, we found a similar church we had in Liberia. It was called Bethel. And I grew up singing in that church, going to church on a Sunday. So I always had a genuine love for music, and I actually can do it. Even when I write my raps, guys were, like amazed, like, man, this guy can really flow rap. And but I just didn't fit the genre in this country. So I kind of.
What age were you? What age were you when you started writing rhymes, bro? Because I've heard your music. And
not 9, excuse me. 9th grade.
Ninth grade. Yeah. So were there other guys in your class that were rappers and all? Because I would imagine, in high school, you always find that clique of guys who can rap, rhyme, make beats, produce, and all that. So, and you were in Teaneck, New Jersey, so I can imagine that's a melting pot of just eclectic rappers and all type of different music. Yeah.
No, because when I got here, I gravitated to.
I'm listening.
Bonita Apple Palm, you got to put me on. you know,
Okay.
LL.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I grew up on that. Then my stepbrother left all his tapes. So I'm listening to Talib Kweli. So you cut my eyes for the evening, kiss my cheek,
Yeah.
you confuse things, you know.
Right.
So,
Now, did that help? You? You know, because I'd imagine there was a bit of a barrier for you to jump over through just the language barrier. Did that help you?
I couldn't read. I
Mm.
couldn't read. I couldn't write. I could speak English with a heavy accent because I'm coming from Africa.
Right.
But apart from that, I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I could write by the ninth grade and read by the ninth grade. But when I first got in, my dad actually got the hooked on phonics. My stepmom and dad would work with us on hooked on phonics. What was exciting about it was we got to rhyme. You know, we got to rhyme the words. So that really triggered the brain a little bit. And
okay.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like your safe haven in a sense, because that transition is tough for anyone, let alone a 10-year-old kid. But that's amazing. That is amazing. So let me ask you, so I know you have the love for music at this time and you're starting to play around with it, write rhymes, this and that and the other. At what point throughout your career did you say, you know what, I want to invest in this and I want to pursue it and I want to do it? Because I've heard, you wake up in the morning, like I follow Talib Kweli and Mos Def and all these guys. And I listened to an excerpt he had recently about, he was talking about the music industry in the whole, but one thing stuck out to me was he said about his fans, like, listen, the people that really love my music, if you really love the music and appreciate the music, you go and make it. So at what point did you decide, like, I'm going to make this shit. I'm going to make it happen? Because I love music. I listen to everything. If I open up my music, he'll think I'm crazy. I listen to country. I'll give anything a chance. I've listened to Tumba Juice. I've listened to Love and Lights. And I was running last week, and I was listening to Drive You. Drive You is one of my joints, man. I love that joint, man. I just love it.
Drive You.
That's one of my joints, man. And when you turn it on, I let wifey listen to it. She's like, "Oh, I like this." I'm like, "You would have no idea who it is. It's somebody that I know." She was like, "You don't know that, bro." I'm like, "It's Tamba, man." And like you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like what I've heard, we've been around guys who make music and play around with it, but you've had a chance to work with one of the hottest producers in Nigeria in Mastercraft. How did that relation kind of generate?
Again, I just think it's the Lord. I usually pray for things that I want. I'm persistent in things, and with music, it's something that I loved. Prior to meeting Master, I signed Gilly the Kid. Gilly has a huge following, $1 million worth of game now. I signed him. I signed another kid named Stars. I had Sunny Digital, Metro Booming, all these different producers. I work with them, trying to figure out first the business side, and then try to come to the creative side, because I was creative as well, but I have money, and I'm like, let me see if I can get around them. And, so I kind of dove in it and soaked it up a little bit.
It's one thing to dive into it, but you're getting respect from these Metro Boomin and Mastercraft like that. I would imagine that's not an easy, house to get into.
It's not. Again, it's a blessing, because what happened was once I was done, I was now going to do more rap. And I was working with some guys from Philly. And one of the guys, his name is Joel, that I work with, he said, "Oh, I can get you a song with Flavor. Flavor is like the African king for kind of like, good African music. But again, women loves his sound and his what he's projecting. And the producer for him most of the time is Master. So Flavor knew I was a rapping side, but he never heard me do Afrobeat. So he said, I'm gonna send you my producer, and you guys can work together and see what you come up with. So when Master came, he's a gift, like a pure gift. So it's like, again, I'm a rookie freshman trying to figure out how to put things together. And Master, all he did was orchestrate everything, make the beat. He wrote all the words. He include us. You know, he tells you write a little here, write some here, and then we get into the lab, and then he's able to basically, like a choir director or like a coach, just coach you through how you should do this and get it done.
Wow.
And we just kept working and coming up with stuff. And he was amazed that I can do, because I don't look like you're a singer. You know, I'm a big warrior, you know. So
Sitcom in all shapes and sizes and packages, bro. But I knew you were always into music, but I had no idea until I heard the One For Me. You know, and I saw the video, and I was like, damn, Tamba, like you're not just playing around with this. This is for real.
I love doing it. I love doing it, but again, you know, I don't want to push myself as if I want to bring attention to myself. I think the people that God bring around to do the music is to kind of enlighten others. It's not to kind of put us in a place where people are going to glorify the image that they see here, but at least when they hear the music, they will know the type of people that are. So you kind of know what kind of people they are because of how the music is put together.
No doubt. I listen to music that makes me feel good. I listen to music that, you know, if I turn on Lil Baby and everyone else, and you know, there's moments in my life that music plays. And for the people that don't understand Afrobeat, who are listening and tuning in, like, what is Afrobeat? Because I try to look it up. Is it more so the sounds from, you know, Western Africa as opposed to a genre? Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Well, Afrobeat, let's look at the history. It comes from far behind us. It's Fela Kuti. His name is Fela Kuti. It was a huge movement going on. I want to say maybe in the 70s, or even maybe before. And he came up with this sound back then. And now it's starting to re-emerge with the modern producer. They are able to produce the music in the African style where it's more rhythmic, it's less wordy. So we're not focused too much on lyrics. It's so you can enjoy the music and not have to, you know, focus on everything we're saying, as you know, we do here in America. So Afrobeat is more easy to deal with. It's just a rhythmic sound, and it's about love and lust majority of the time.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful music. That's music that I want to listen to every day. I don't know if you heard when you signed on, I was playing Drive You. That's my joint now, man. That's my joint now, man. And forgive me for not bringing up the kids, man. I remember last time we were in the room together, it was the Pro Bowl, and your beautiful daughter Sia. How's Sia doing, man? How's she doing?
She's doing well. She's almost taller than my wife. She's 10 years old.
She's 10? Oh my God. She probably runs the house right now. She's running the house.
Well, she can't because of my wife.
Right, she's trying to at least. Right.
But yeah, she is the oldest, and over our other son, Ty, he's 10. And,
got it.
So she, she's more talkative. We have Tamba, he's 5.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of Tamba, I read someplace in the, excuse me if I don't say the name correctly, but the Kisi culture, is that it? Kisi culture. Every, was it second born child
from the mother
is named Tamba? Is that right? So you have another brother that's named Tamba as well, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Good. When I started diving in, I was like, man, I wish I had a chance to be around Tamba and talk about this, but I'm glad we're doing it on this platform, man. So let me switch gears for a second and go to a more serious topic, man. You hear this, you know, everything that happened the last few years during the pandemic. Obviously, it affected everyone differently. You know, regional it's all different. You know, I have some family that lives in North Carolina. We're here in Washington, D.C., and things have been changing. The George Floyd incident that happened, and the movement within professional sports. You've seen public figures step out and back Black Lives Matter and make it and put it at the forefront, man. we play football, so we can speak about the football sphere, if you will. What do you think, what's your impression of how the NFL has handled things in this climate where you see this huge, shift of emotion of, things are happening to unarmed Black men and women? What's your opinion about all that's happened the last few years?
Well, I mean, if we're going to speak politically, I would say the NFL has done a great job with trying to bring everything to where the country wants to go with this vaccination and the pandemics and how they handle it, especially with how much money they lost last year and how things unfolded for this country.
Right.
But it's to say that we can see that there's chaos that's being erupted in the country. I don't think the country is bringing it on its own. I think from a distance, you can see that due to technology and its increase, that we all are now subject to either lies or truth. So now that's gonna
Man, that is the realest shit I've heard, man. Yeah. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. And people were home during the pandemic. They weren't working, they weren't going out, spending money. So we were all into these phones and listening and following the world. And the NFL has, I talk a lot, my wife knows, and my close net of people here, we all get together, smoke a cigar, drink some Macallan, and we just solve the world's problems. You know what I mean? But, obviously the Olympics has passed us, and there was a huge, there was a lot of talk about, some Simone Biles and other people in the past dealing with emotional health. And for us, when we walked into the NFL, it was whatever goes on in this building stays in this building. My opinion about this new appreciation for the athlete, not only their bodies, but the mental side of it. Yeah. What's your thoughts around that and the mental side of an athlete?
To be honest with you, can you hear me, Duquel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's real. I can allude to it because I never speak about my story. Being in the league, we all get in trouble. I got in trouble somehow, by doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, and that took a toll on my mind. I thought about all of the negative things that I would want to do to myself because how people would view me and how people would talk about me. And it's not even something that's that huge of a problem in society, but that's how our culture is made. So you have to kind of walk the line. So mentally, we're kind of damaged because what we have to go through, your normal human being don't go through.
Right.
The scrutiny we go under, people in this world don't get to experience. So, yes, if you mental health for any athlete at this point, because we kind of forced it, or we can't say them, but within us, we want to be great. So we kind of forced the issue to do as great as we can, which is a battle in the mind, not really on the physical side. It's in the mind.
No doubt about it. I realized that point probably, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, in 2009 and 2010, I had 2 season-ending injuries to both of my pecs, left pec, right pec, back to back. And this was 2010, as well as this was the lockout year. And I had signed a 4-year deal coming out of college. And so I was up. I hadn't played in a year and a half. And mentally, the mental strain that it took on my body, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And for the people that look at us as puppets on the screen, tackling a different color jersey and all that, the shit is real. And I'll tell you what I had to do and when I realized I need to start investing in the mental side of the game as well as the physical is I was in IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. And there was a guy named Trevor. He works with Russell Wilson right now, but he was at IMG Academy at that moment. And he was always around the workouts, right? And he befriended a lot of us. He wasn't being too pushy. And I finally had a conversation with him and he was like, hey, why don't you come to my office? let's talk. And in my mind, I started asking people like, who is this guy? Like, is he like what? So he was a sports psychiatrist, but he didn't identify as that. And I never forget the first time I walked in his office, Tamba. It was like everything that I knew I should be doing, but I didn't know how to verbalize it. And he made a process of it. And we literally got on a dry eraser board, and he asked me what I wanted. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do I want? And what do you want? And we wrote out everything. We made this pyramid scheme of what I wanted. And at the time, the most important thing for me was and I kid you not, a year or two later, I still keep that laminate. And anywhere I go, it was of the diagram that we created to get to that 5-year X amount of dollars a year. It was damn near spot on. So at that moment, I realized we all train our bodies. At that moment, I realized like, man, the mental side is the edge. And so from that moment, I've been on this quest to try to find, because a lot of guys, and I know I'm talking a lot, and a lot of guys like us, man, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to create this platform is, hell, I need to pick up the phone and call Tom. I need to pick up the phone and call the guys I used to play with, because we never know what any of us are going through, because we're from that old school era where we take care of everything. It's tough love, man. So that's my experience with it. And I don't know necessarily where you fall in that line, but I know you've always been an extremely smart guy, inquisitive guy.
I mean, everything you say I can second on, because the reality as a player, we don't get to say what we want to do. We don't have a say. We get in there, they say, oh, the bus leaves at this time. We all are on the bus. Oh, when you get there, here are the meetings. We're all there. If you have issues, it shouldn't arise at those times, especially now when you're in that building like that. And it's like, if we know injuries and then we know hurts. Like if you're hurting, you need to keep that hurt to yourself. We know you could play on Sunday. So everything, again, if we look deep in it, I'm appreciative of the NFL. I'm appreciative of the game. I love what it did for me. But if you check the history, you will know that this is not a normal idea. This is
right. We basically put our bodies in a blender week in and week out for years at a time. So let's switch gears, man. That was a little serious. Let's lighten it up. I want to dive into any what you're into now from the music side of things, man. Any new projects on the horizon that you're working on that you can talk about?
Yeah. We've worked on a few different things lately. I spoke with Master because we can't be in person with one another. I would love to get down to him in Nigeria. That's if my wife, is okay with all of that. I don't think she's gonna be cool with me leaving her at this time. So we're gonna do a project from a distance. But I was talking to another producer and I spoke with Master about it. We are in a place that we need to be able to deliver music that will be in a way you can worship God with unconsciously, the same way that the world is worshiping whatever they're doing in the music. We want to create a way for you to still be able to worship God without even knowing that this is about God. This is about another the highest in the highest. So we're trying to bring this kind of idea into the world because we feel like it's saturated. Everybody has the same story in the rap side. Now we Afrobeat, we all loving. So it's So we want to look at it and say, but the reason we're different is because we can still do this thing, but do it in a way that, again, it's not really about us. But when you listen to the music, you would dive into it, and before you know it, you'll start picking up the wording and say, whoa, these people are really talking about something higher than themselves. We want to make a gospel but not a gospel feel that you're used to. To push into the market.
A gospel message, but you able to enjoy and listen to it with your top down music, the windows down in your car, and everyone can listen to it. No, I feel that.
Without being ridiculed, without being feeling like, oh God, or oh Jesus. Jesus in all of us. So we want to bring it in a way that you will receive it and know that this is not a secular song. This is a universal song. This is something that that everyone can, be lifted in.
That's amazing. And before I switch to talk to something else, I cannot not talk about this. Before the pandemic, you were on a tour. Is that right?
Yeah, I started touring.
On a tour. What was it? The Cranberry Vampire Tour?
Yeah,
I saw a clip. Yeah, I saw a clip of you in Iowa, and it was dope, man. It was like it was like the whole setup as wifey calls you, and as you're walking on stage, like I was glued in, bro. I was hooked. And the production was off the charts, man. But I know it got halted because of the pandemic and all that. But what was your plan? How many cities were you planning on going to? And like that was what, the night 6? I believe it was.
Man, you were following, dude.
Yeah, man. Man, I gotta support my guys, man.
The thing I only signed up for like 15 shows, and for some reason we started to do it started to do well. I won't lie to you. I bring my guys on. Our act was the best act each night because it was very organic. It had nothing to do with it had more to do with fellowshipping with the people.
Right. You could feel that.
Every time I put the music on, everyone would be like, "This is not what we expected," so they would draw closer.
right. That's
so
amazing,
we'll have an amazing night, and then as time went on, we were realizing we're only on set for 15 minutes, man.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like we was about to go all the way 15 hours away and then start doing the tour all the way down. And I was like, you know what? Right now, we ain't going to do that. We did 6 shows and we don't know what's about to happen. Let's regroup. Let's look at the financing, how much I'm putting into this, and let's kind of see what we want to get out of it.
Right.
That was kind of like testing the market. It's out there. It's just... I got drained a little bit. I'm like, man, I did this for 20 years. I was on the road for 20 years.
It's great music, man. I suggest anyone that's listening or watching, go download Tamba Juice and Love and Lights. I'm telling you, it will brighten your day. It's feel good music. Yeah. Tamba, you're on there. I don't know what you call it. It's rapping, singing. It's a little bit of both. However you bring it together, it feels good. It feels good. It really does. So I also picked up, were you doing anything? I think I read someplace that you were focused on, bringing a school, possibly building a school, right, back to Liberia and focusing on the education system back home.
Yeah, I traveled back to Liberia. I was doing that maybe every 2-3 months, going back home, buying land, trying to put a building down so I can open up a STEM program. I was trying to raise money here, but I was still just going to use my own money and just buy these computers and have these kids going through a curriculum that's already set up here. So we can kind of monitor them from maybe 6-7 years old to me. Let's say when I got in high school, I was 13, 14, see how they do if they're on the same track as the kids here. And then, see what we will do after that if they are. We didn't have a plan for after that. Pandemic again halted it because I have to be there. I can't send money to strangers. I just have to be there.
Yeah, so I've had one of my good buddies, Madu Williams. I had him on the show as well. He's from Sierra Leone. Yeah. And during that time I spoke about earlier in 2009, 2010, mentally, I was just all out of whack. And I was physically hurt. Yeah. And he actually called me up. He was like, "Hey, I want you to come to Sierra Leone." And my first thought was like, "What? I'm trying. I got too many problems here." It was all about me. You know what I mean? And so I take the trip, and it's just mind blowing, man. I had the chance to see real struggle, It was in your face. The kids were running around, and I realized it hit me like a ton of bricks, Tom, but that these little kids that I was so-called feeling sorry for had smiles on their face. They were no different than a 2, 3-year-old, 5-year-old here in the States. They just didn't know what they didn't have. And he built a school, and he's been partnered with University of Maryland. So that's the guy, when we get off, I want to connect you with, is Madu. He's been able to partnership with some folks, and he's owned a school over there for the last over 10 years now. So that's someone I definitely will help you connect with, man. Man, so this has been great, man. So there's so much here. I'm a huge music fan, man. And I know you got other things to talk about, but what's your creative process? Like if you walk into it, I know you've worked with Mastercraft, but I know, and if it's secretive, you don't have to give it out.
No, bro. I'll tell you, man, this thing is all
like, do you walk into a studio and you start playing with the keyboard or, you know, and it just kind of builds and builds and builds and like, what is that creative process like?
There's different ways to approach it. If it's a project, it's thought out. So if we're doing a project, Master would sit down. I'm sitting on my side. I'm coming up with ideas, things that I'm going through. I think that I'm seeing, that I'm experiencing. I'll send it to him. He'll send me what he believes, how we should go about it. We also know there's a market that we're playing in. So if this is planned out, if we're just saying, if I'm just hitting him up like, let's do songs, then yeah, if I just walk into the studio, he can just make the beat from scratch. Even me, I produce myself, but you walk into the studio, you got your equipment, you can make the beat from scratch. You can start humming some kind of melody, start recording those sounds. And the way it works is if you really want to hone in onto the craft is when you create the beat, now you have to create words to fit the beat, but it's sounds, not words. So the first one is melody. So I'm gonna get on the mic and just be myself and not care about what word come out or sound. I'll just make sounds enough so I like what I hear, and then we're gonna take those sounds that I made and place them in places that we feel that is gonna it makes sense. Like this is the hook, this is a pre-hook, this is a verse type of way of sound, and now we add words to those sounds to bring that sound to life, because it's not really about, you know what I'm saying, it's not about the words. The word serves the melody. You remember all these songs because because of the melody, not the words. After we get that melody, we serve the words to the sound, and it comes out always.
You broke it down like a professor. To you, it sounds very easy. To me, I'm like, I don't have a creative bone. I don't have a creative. I just not in my head. You know, for me to go into a studio and create something from scratch, it's mind blowing, and it's so intriguing to me, man, that you're able to do that.
It's hard and it's hard and it's easy. You need to be inspired. So that's hard within itself. And then, anything that you do every day, it will become easy. So that's easy if you know what to do on the computer.
Well, you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about it.
To be inspired is hard because the best music are honest music. As honest as you can get.
Right. Oh, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. So you have a record label, correct? And what is it called?
Relume Records.
I didn't want to mispronounce it. Relume. So
the word relume means to rekindle. It's RELUME. So I had a label called Religion Records, but there's another Religion Records in the UK. So I came up with Relume. I put the A between the M and the E for the Master of Rekindling, which is the one that's in the highest. So anytime we do music, we know it's coming from the highest. So it's Relume Records. So
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I could spend all day in a record studio, and obviously you have a studio at your house, right?
I do. I have a couple studios down there.
So the only time there was a guy named Leon Williams.
I know.
He was he was. We were teammates in Cleveland, and we would go over his house, and he had a studio set up. I've never been in a studio. I can't put 3 words together, but it was like 10 of us, all rookies, and he had a closet, and he had it all like soundproofed and everything. It was a mic. Yeah. And I got in, Tamba. I got in this studio, bro. It was pitch black. I had been drinking a little bit, so I was feeling good. And he put on a beat, like a down south beat. Like, I don't know what it was, bro. Yeah, I came up with a hook. That's what was
popping then, for sure.
Yeah, right. I came up with a hook off just off the top.
It's in there, man.
I remember the door opening. They were looking at me like, "Are you serious, bro?" And I try to get the recording. He will not let it go, man. To this day, he will not let it go. And I talked to all my little music friends about it. I'm like, man, you can't put nothing together. But it was just a moment, man. It really was. It really was, bro. So
when you get a chance, come up on this way, man. We'll produce you, dude.
Now I just want to be a fly on the wall. I'm not coming in there.
You enjoy it.
Dude, I would love to. I would love to, man. Absolutely love to.
Probably next year. Next year, okay. when he's in town, he likes to show off anyway. So then I'll invite you. That's how masters are. They want to show you that I really know what I'm doing. So
I would give him all the love and praise for it, man. Is there anything? Because I try to, you're one of for the people who don't know, man, like you're one of the hardest. I remember when we were at Parisi Speed School in New Jersey, and you were about your business then. You used to work so hard, they would have to try to pull you back. It was like, hey, Tamba, you don't have to work this hard, man. You're good. But it was just, it pushed us all to get better, man. And oh my God, I'm so happy you had a great career. This part of the show, I have I have random Q&A questions, right?
Okay, all right.
I call it my pick six. My pick six is random 6 questions.
You got the herbs out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out here growing right in the house.
It's too cold in Kansas City for anything to live, man. You got to grow it indoors. So I feel you. So I have a pick, as a defensive player, a pick 6 is a game-changing play, right? So I got a stream of questions, I'm having fun with it. It has nothing to do with anything, but a few of them do, but I'm gonna have fun with it. So question number 1 for Tamba in the series of pick 6. What was your first job you ever had? Do you remember? Or if you ever had one?
Employed. The first one I ever had that I got employed, I would say Pathmark. I work at. You remember Pathmark?
No. What is that?
Pathmark was like you remember ShopRite?
I grew up in Florida. We had Publix and Dixie, and we had completely different grocery chains in Jersey. But I feel you, though.
Yeah, that one of the grocery stores that was real close to our house was Pathmark. So
Okay. Were you a bagger?
Cashier. I was,
Oh shit! Oh, they trusted you. They didn't trust me. I was only the bagger. All right. So question number 2. So I've asked this question to all the guests that I've had on the show, and there's one answer that keeps coming up. So I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite movie or sitcom ever? It could be anything.
Movie. Troy. My favorite movie.
Okay. Good. That's the first Troy I've heard. The first Troy. So the recurring theme I've had, people have chosen sitcom, has been Martin. Martin. I know.
I know what our society was watching. I wasn't watching though.
Right. All right. So question number 3. You may have to think a little bit about it. And so here it is. If you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room for the rest of your life, what song would it be and why?
I believe I can fly.
Hey, that was spot on, bro. That was spot on. And we didn't talk about these questions beforehand. That was spot on, bro. That's amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. So we got 3 more to go. Question number 4. What's been the best? Because, you've amassed this, great wealth and accolades and celebrity and all this good stuff. My question to you is, what's the best gift you've ever received from anyone?
You ready? The best gift you can ever receive is a child from God. Yeah.
I love it. I can agree with that.
Out here.
Right. I have a 2-year-old. He'll be 3 in November. And
congrats, man.
Yeah, he is we named him King.
That's what he is, man.
He is full of life, man. I love it. I love it. All right. So question number 5, because, I travel a lot, and I know we talked about you were going to Nigeria. You're well traveled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little crazy when I travel. I'll try anything. So my question to you is, have you ever eaten food you really didn't know what it was when you were traveling?
I don't think so.
I only asked this question just so I could give you what my answer to it is. So before the pandemic, we were in South Africa. Like, we literally got back March 8th. The world shut down like a week later. But so we had, obviously we did the touristy things in South Africa, but more importantly, I want to see a lion eating a zebra and all that good stuff. So we saw all of that. But there was one day we had free. And so one of the trackers was like, hey, where do you live? We wanted to go see where he lived, see how he was living, because he was, this guy's a tracker. He tracks wildlife. So we go to his village. He drives us and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's my wife and we were another couple. And he was going to get lunch. And so it was like this grandma in a shack, and it was smoke coming from everywhere. And, he grabbed whatever he was going to grab to eat. And, I had a beer in my hand. I'm feeling good. And, right. Uh-oh. So he gets lunch, and I guess he told my wife and the couple we were with heard what he had actually said it was. And they were turned on. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. When I travel, I try anything.
Yeah.
And so he grabs it, and it looks like a piece of meat. I'm not sure, but I put it in my mouth. And initially it was like, oh, okay, this is not bad. But then, I couldn't be disrespectful and spit it out.
Of course.
So I had to figure it out how to get it out of my mouth and outside. So I ended up, long story short, I ended up getting sick as a dog that night.
What did you eat?
I don't know. I don't know what it
wasn't monkey meat. Monkey meat is sweet.
No, this meat's, if you ever smelled garbage juice, have you ever been behind a garbage truck?
I don't know how you ate that, bro. I would have been
man, I couldn't swallow it. I mean, I don't know what it was, bro. I still don't know to this day. But anyway, that was the reason why I asked the question, because I had to tell that story. But lastly, I'm a big chips guy. I'm a freaking snack guy like crazy.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna be like, Tamba eats monkey meat.
Wait, so is monkey meat good? You said it's sweet. I didn't try it. Is it good?
I've had it.
Okay. Well, that's next on my list when the world opens up and we can travel. But my last question has nothing to do with anything, because I'm a big chips and snacks guy. Do you have a favorite bag of chips? Because I can tell you my favorite. My favorite is the Fritos flavor twist, the barbecue joints. Anytime I see them, Tamba, I'll buy all 10 of them. Whatever.
Frito, you say it's barbecue?
Yes, Frito twist. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
It.
Yeah, you gotta join the party, man. Yeah. But man, listen, man, is there anything that I didn't talk about that you want to talk about that I didn't ask? Any question that I didn't ask that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. How are you doing, man?
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Whole time.
Thank you. You know what? It's been a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I decided to leave the game in 2016, I got suspended. I was for PEDs. I was taking something that was not on the ban list the year before, and it was on the ban list during training camp. So I missed the last 4 games of the 2016 season. Oh. So 2016, they released me, the Colts. So I think I'm going to catch on someplace the next year, and it didn't happen. So that year, it was probably a 2-year period I had to adjust, man. And yeah. I'll tell you firsthand, like mentally, I was in a funk. I was in a funk, dude. Mm-hmm. And, and it was hard. And that's why I say I want to start reaching out to guys, because lucky for me, I had a good mob of friends around me that keep me stimulated. Yeah. So I was out and about doing different things, and that kept me upbeat. But, I struggled a little bit, man. But ultimately, during the pandemic, you realize, what's important to you. And it was my family. We had a great time. We figured it out. But I'm doing well now, man. And it's good to see you, see the smile on your face, see that your family's doing well, that you're passionate about something, man. So I appreciate you asking, man. I really do.
Yeah.
But again,
I hate to cut you off, but at the end of the day, I realized I didn't speak about this. I went through a transformation last year.
Really?
I went through some battles, and my faith. I have been seeking, and the things that have been revealed to me on this side of the world. It's surreal, because if you start realizing what's really around us, it's not everything we've heard. The world we're living in, I'm only saying this because, again, that's how I feel inside. The world we're living in,
sure.
Somebody might have lied to us. Maybe this is what God can say is heaven here. You have a choice to create your heaven here. You have, to create a life here for yourself in whatever capacity it is.
Right.
And for some reason, we've been told, soon and very soon we're going to see the King. Maybe the King is here, and we can't see him, because if there's a visible world, there has to be an invisible world. So, I battled. Certain things happened to me throughout, from the pandemic till now. I mean, pretty much kind of settled me in more of where I am, because, we kind of get our money, we kind of can do whatever we want, and we lose the value system a little bit. And I believe there are angelic beings that it's out here that we can see that straighten us up like big brothers. And I think if we start paying attention closely to what's right in front of us, we'll start to realize that that's the awakening. That's the conscious that we need right now, instead of thinking what the future would be like. And I was talking to my wife. I told my wife, I said, but what is the future if you don't even pay attention to the present?
The present.
What's happening right now. If what you want to see is right now, that would be your future. But if you don't see it now, and you're in a whole different space, keep wishing on something that you're not doing, how could that be the future? So I know I'm all over the place, but
no, that's great. That was spot on, dude. Did that help you with that transition? It sounds like,
I almost died, man. I'm telling you, I almost died. I was sleeping in the room with my mom. My mom came. It was a spiritual battle. I mean, it's like I got haunted. I saw dragons. I got up. My mom is looking. I said, Mom, let's sing. Let's pray. And there's a dragon in the house. It's staring me right in the face. And I think I'm like, maybe I'm, dreaming or something. I look away, and then I look again. I see these two eyes. They're just looking at me. And I say, yo, I just start like choking. Like,
oh, wow.
Just choking. And my mom lifted me and said, your time is not now. She's a heavy believer. She took me into the other room. I just wanted to go straight to a light. I mean, I woke up from that thing, man, and God just kept opening my eyes, and he showed me so much. So it puts me in a humbling state where I just don't want to do too much. I love singing, and I do it because, again, it's a gift, and I want to express it in a way that it makes the most sense, but not to bring attention to myself. But yeah, it's real out here. It's really real. It's real, and the world is turning in a way that, if there's an apocalypse, there's a lot of things that's about to be revealed to us.
Yeah, that is. I'm glad you touched on that, Tamba, because a lot of people look at us, what we done for a living, and they define us by it. And a lot of people don't know, guys like you and I, we fight like hell to obviously be successful in that world, but also try to, separate ourselves from that and all the stereotypes that comes with it. And for you to be vulnerable and talk about that here, I appreciate that, because if it only helps one person realize, you know what, these guys, the way you look at it, these guys have problems as well as anyone else. We're no different than anyone else. And if we can help alleviate some of that stress, off of someone mentally, as you spoke about it, your faith is what got you out of the dark side. And
yes.
I think a lot of people could relate to that. And my wife is a huge component of religion, and her mother and her family. And I wasn't so much so. Growing up, I was always in the church, but I never had anyone sit me down and actually go through it and feel it and understand it. So I appreciate that, man. I know you're a busy guy. You have a ton of things you have going on. I appreciate your time, your perspective. Tamba, from this moment on, we're going to stay in touch, man. I tell you, I want to come to Kansas City just to get in that studio and see those creative juices flowing and creating. And if I could add to one little thing, to a song, man, that would be cool. But I know I'm wishful thinking. But I thank you for your time and your perspective, Tamba, man. I wish you nothing but the best, brother.
So far, I appreciate it. Tony, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on the pod. I see you guys. Athletes Unplugged, baby.